After 4 years of being the vicious female supporting character, I finally realized I'm not cut out for this. At the perfect moment to push the female lead into the river, I took a wrong turn and ended up standing on the opposite bank, staring wide-eyed at her. In what should have been a masterstroke of having bandits kidnap the female lead, I mixed up the secret signal and ended up trapped in the mountains for over a month. This morning, I secretly poisoned the fruit meant for the female lead but forgot to wash my hands afterward, nearly sending myself to an early grave. I lay in bed, coughing as if the sky were falling and the earth cracking, thinking to myself, I'm exhausted, just let the world end. But the male lead disagreed. He kicked my door open and yelled, "Bai Nian Nian, are you a pig? How many times do I have to tell you to wash your hands before eating?" I looked at him with a pitiful expression. Yes. I'm just a piece of trash who needs someone to teach me to wash my hands before meals. This damn supporting female character mission, can I just not do it anymore? Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. My name is Bai Nian. Thanks to this name, I wasn't very bright all the way through high school, my father said. Since all that studying went to waste, I might as well come home and farm, but I wasn't much good at farming either. One noon, I lost my grip on a hoe, it hit me on the forehead, and that's how I ended up here. The masked person who brought me here claimed to be the system, assigned me the role of a female supporting character, and told me to cause trouble for the male and female leads. I said, I can't do it, I'm too foolish. I'll probably get killed sooner or later. That person pulled out a booklet and handed it to me, saying, don't worry, everything is scripted, just follow the plan. But he didn't know that I was so foolish I couldn't even memorize the script properly, which later led to me barely surviving on the brink of accidental death every day. I grabbed the script and stared at him. He said, do well and you'll be rewarded with supreme glory. I shook my head, endless wealth. I shook my head. Men, eat and drink extravagantly. My eyes finally lit up when he tentatively uttered the phrase eat and drink extravagantly. The man laughed heartily a few times. Seeing how truly foolish I was, and couldn't help but feel a bit sorry for me, he said, all right then, don't call yourself Bai Nian anymore. From now on, you'll be called Bai Nian Nian. Bai Nian Nian sounds nice, doesn't it? I cheerfully expressed my thanks and then foolishly began studying the script. In the script given to me, the male lead is Crown Prince Li Yuan, and the female lead is his concubine Su Qinghe. I am the vicious crown princess, driven mad by love, with blood on my hands. The system explained it quite nicely, saying, this isn't called harming others, it's called reverse assistance, helping the male and female leads build an unbreakable bond. But while the male and female leads overcame dangers and relied on each other through life and death, I ended up in trouble. Because I lacked the intelligence, even though I stayed up late every night studying kidnapping manuals, I still couldn't remember the routes, codes, or the right dosage of poison, and every time, I ended up failing miserably. Even this morning, after poisoning the female lead, he forgot to wash his hands, grabbed a braised pork hock, and then lay in a daze until now. She was already suffering from the poisoning, and that big jerk Li Yuan even called me a pig. He can insult me all he wants. But why drag pigs into it? Pork is so delicious. What are you staring at me for? Li Yuan stood by my bedside, roaring at me. He was dressed in his crown prince's python robe. Likely having just returned from court, I wiped my tears and said, who's staring at you? I was just choking on my own saliva. Li Yuan's face was full of confusion, wondering what kind of person he had actually married. I need to defend my own dignity in this matter. At first, I had no intention of getting involved in these troubles and didn't want to take on the role of the vicious crown princess. I don't know how Li Yuan managed to find his way here. Insisting on marrying the Bai family's daughter, Li Yuan was also honest, clearly telling my father that he was attracted to my family's wealth, which could rival the nation's, but I am the only daughter in the family. So how is that any different from being attracted to me? I pouted, my eyes welling up with tears as I continued to glare at him. After 4 years of marriage, Li Yuan had long been worn down by my antics. With a stern face, he helped me up and patted my back, asking as he did so, have you taken your medicine? I've taken it. Who prescribed the medicine? Imperial physician's son. He prescribed pills. How many did you take? 3. Did you wash your hands before eating? Damn it, Li Yuan. Do you have to bring up the very thing I want to avoid? The poisoning gave me a perfect excuse to stay in bed, never stepping out the door, fully immersed in the romance between the pale-faced scholar and the official's daughter from the storybooks. One afternoon, as I was grinning uncontrollably at the corner of my mouth, a sweet, delicate voice reached my ears. Sister, what are you looking at? Before the words had even fully faded, soft breasts pressed against my back, and I jolted upright with a start. Nothing, nothing. The newcomer gazed at me with captivating almond-shaped eyes, her skin so fair it seemed to glow, the kind of radiance that comes with being the main character. Yes, she was the female lead from my script, Su Qinghe. Oh. Sister is reading this. Su Qinghe picked up the book that had fallen at the corner of the bed and gave me a suggestive smile. She calls me sister because I married into the crown prince's residence before her. As the principal wife, I've read this too. But this one doesn't look like the crown prince, she said in surprise, pointing at the fair-skinned scholar portrait that happened to be showing on the outermost page. The crown prince is much more dazzling. As she spoke, she actually started blushing. I couldn't help but think to myself, I'm just a supporting female character. It's enough for the female lead to love the male lead. My heart is reserved for thousands of handsome men. With that thought, I snatched the book from her hands. Little did I know that this rough scene was witnessed by the Empress who had just followed us in. The Empress also shares the surname Su, and though my mind can't quite untangle the exact relationship, she is somehow related to the female lead, Su Qinghe. Because Li Yuan did not marry Su Qinghe as his principal wife, the Empress has taken a strong dislike to me. As soon as she entered, she said with a cold expression, "A crown princess must be dignified and virtuous. Just look at what you've become." "A charming one," Su Qinghe replied without hesitation, linking her arm with mine and giving me a smile. To be honest, this female lead isn't annoying at all. When she married into the palace, she was probably only about 14 or 15 years old, soft-spoken, sweet-natured, innocent and lively, completely unaware of the ways of the world. What's key is that she's been exceptionally good to me, a supporting female character, always standing in the same camp as me without fail. Every time I see her unconsciously challenging the Empress's bottom line, I can't help but be amused for a long time. I think if I were a native-born daughter of the Bai family, I might actually have become close friends with her. The Empress was taken aback by Su Qinghe's remark and frowned. "Qinghe, be a dear and go pick some pastries from the small kitchen for me to taste." Thanks to my foodie nature, Her Majesty the Empress scoffs at everything and everyone in my palace. Except she never criticizes my small kitchen. I strongly suspect that she came today because she's got her eye on the freshly baked pastries from my small kitchen again. Su Qinghe gently squeezed my arm. "Sister, what would you like to eat? I'll get it for you. I won't stand on ceremony either." White sandalwood cake, hibiscus cake, phoenix feather pastry, fermented rice pudding, hawthorn brown sugar cake, and mungbin red date pastry. They should have just finished steaming. Perfect timing to eat. Better take more. Otherwise when Li Yuan comes back he'll snatch mine. Su Qinghe had already skipped out the door, and I could feel a low-pressure aura hovering above the Empress beside me. "How dare you order Qinghe around? Kneel." I knelt on the ground with a pitiful expression, thinking to myself, can it really be called ordering someone around when it's just about food? It was merely a coincidence, just a coincidence. But the Empress didn't give me a chance to explain herself. Yuan should have married a noble lady from a prestigious family. With his qualifications, wasn't every woman in the capital at his disposal? How could he have chosen someone like you? He is destined to become emperor, and with your behavior, how could you possibly be fit to be the mother of the nation? I wholeheartedly agreed and kept my head down. Enduring the scolding, the Empress continued, "I still say the same thing. Give up your hopes as soon as possible, leave the manor quickly, and do not delay Yuan any longer." This was what the Empress had said to me before I left the palace to be married. On the day of the grand wedding, I was already frowning over my impending role as a supporting female character when the Empress hesitated for a long while, then entered my chamber with an awkward expression. But as soon as she spoke, she gave me a glimmer of hope. "I really hope this marriage falls through soon, so I won't have to worry about harming the male and female leads anymore." Unfortunately, Li Yuan, seeing that I hadn't come out for a long time, ignored the rules and rushed into the room in a panic, grabbing my wrist to drag me away. A large red decorative flower was pinned to his chest, and his anxious gaze was fixed on me. That was the first time I saw him, and also the first time I understood what was written in the books. His face was as flawless as jade, his eyes like brilliant stars. As I followed him into the bridal sedan chair, I was quite pleased with my own erudition. When I nearly tripped over the floral ribbons, for this, the Empress added another charge against me, being unruly and making a fuss. After entering the Crown Prince's residence, the Empress didn't even bother pretending anymore. She would come to my palace every 10 days or half a month to lecture me at length, hinting and pressuring me to give up, then take a pastry along, just like today. I was desperately hoping she wouldn't see the mung bean cake that Li Yuan and I both love, and in a moment of carelessness, I spoke my thoughts aloud. Your Majesty is absolutely right. I will go immediately and beg the Crown Prince to divorce me. The Empress's face stiffened. No matter how fiercely we quarreled or how harshly I was punished before, I had never mentioned the word divorce. As luck would have it, this one time, Li Yuan happened to overhear it. By Nian. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Before he even entered, his voice could be heard from the courtyard. I was startled, feeling as if I had been caught red-handed doing something wrong. A chill approached as Li Yuan rushed to my side in a few quick steps, pulling me up abruptly. Mother, when I married her son, it was made very clear that her family is well off and would be of great benefit to me. How can you expect me to use them and then cast them aside? What face would I have left to show the people and the court officials? I thought to myself. While that may be the case, couldn't you two discuss these matters a little more discreetly in front of me? Just because I'm foolish doesn't mean you should expose everything right in front of me. This is really hurtful to my self-esteem. Sob. Li Yuan stepped in front of me, shielding me, and continued. Moreover, back then, Mother Empress promised that as long as I brought Su Qinghe into the household, she would never bother Nian. How could Mother Empress go back on her word? The Empress's face turned ashen, looking as if she had swallowed a fly. Unable to utter a single word, she examined me thoughtfully, sending chills down my spine. Could it be? She thought I had calculated Li Yuan's arrival and staged this whole scene myself. Heavens above, I don't have that kind of cunning mind. That scoundrel Li Yuan not only got me wrongly accused, but after the Empress left, he even closed the door and gave me a fierce scolding. Divorce, a letter of repudiation. By Nian, you've got some nerve. Who gave you permission to do this? I rolled my eyes at him. A while ago, he went to the bandit stronghold to rescue me. He took 2 sneak attacks from the bandits' cold blades, and I endured 2 lashes from the Empress. It was from that moment on that I began to entertain the idea of divorce. If I can't play the role of the vicious supporting female character, can't I just run away? I turned and walked back into the house, reciting with a serious tone. One must exert subjective initiative, understand and grasp objective laws, create conditions, change conditions, to benefit. By Nian. Li Yuan chased after me. That's not how it was written in your script. What do you mean? I stopped speaking and opened my eyes wide to look at him. What script? Holy crap. How does he know about the script? Ah, you also a time traveler? I cautiously asked him. He looked completely baffled. What time travel? I'm talking about the script. The script. This script. As he spoke, he pulled a book from the cabinet and slammed it onto the table. The cover clearly bore the word script. I thought I had hidden it well. Yet he had so skillfully found it and thrown it right in front of me. Do I even have any shame left? How did you find out? Li Yuan was speechless. Who marks the spots where they hide things? By Nian, can't you use your brain a little? But if I don't put up markers, I really can't remember. I secretly glanced at the labels I had carefully pasted on the tea table, cabinet, and bookshelf, and suddenly realized a problem. The picture books and portraits of handsome men I had been dreaming about, wouldn't they have been discovered too? Ahem. Li Yuan cleared his throat. I noticed his slightly flushed face and awkward expression, which made me even more certain that he had seen my treasures. It's over. I was so embarrassed I just wanted to bang my head against the ground. Over the years since entering the mansion, haven't you been acting out this script every now and then? Li Yuan glared at me fiercely, the lingering blush on his face adding a touch of unusual ambiguity. He awkwardly took a step forward. What, am I not playing my part well enough for you? His warm breath lingered by my ear, sending a sudden rush of blood straight to my heart. Cough. No, big brother. You've got it all wrong. Seeing me speechless, Li Yuan tilted his face toward the script and gestured with his chin. Let me remind you, the winter sacrifice is next month. With your script written so brilliantly, how could you not go? Brilliant, my ass. The winter sacrifice is the royal family's grand event at the end of each year, where they go to the temporary palace to chant scriptures for 3 days, praying for blessings and warding off disasters, for 3 whole days. It was the perfect opportunity for anyone seeking the limelight, but for me, it was a day of suffering. As the crown princess, every year during the winter sacrifices, countless eyes were fixed on me. At the banquet, eloquent consorts offered toasts, and everyone looked at me. In the evening, ethereal consorts performed songs and dances, and everyone looked at me. I couldn't even recite the sutras clearly, so how could anyone expect me to do these things? I'm not going, I replied to Li Yuan. Li Yuan's eyes clearly stated that there was no room for negotiation. Indeed, even if it weren't for this troublesome supporting female character mission. As the crown princess, I had to attend such occasions. Li Yuan knew exactly what I was worried about. Alright, if you stop mentioning divorce, I'll help you. Help me. I poked my fingers and looked at him. I heard his teeth grinding with a clattering sound. After a long while, he finally let out a helpless sigh. Help you tell the imperial kitchen to add more fish and more sweet cakes. Help you memorize the blessings. Help you block the wine. Help you be a quiet background while eating. Is that enough? More than enough. After being dragged into my schemes for several years during the winter festival, he had become quite skilled at this. I happily clapped my hands, but only after clapping for a long time did I feel something was a bit off. I have this feeling, like I've been sold out and I'm still helping count the money. I snapped back to reality, wanting to discuss the matter of separation further, but Li Yuan had already stepped out the door. He stood by the door, putting on his outer robe while saying to me, in a few days, I'll have the seamstresses from the imperial wardrobe come to make your clothes. Remember to show them to me. Don't let anything go wrong. He muttered something else under his breath, but I couldn't make it out clearly. By the time he fastened his cloak, he had already disappeared into the courtyard. Forget it. Since it's come to this, let's just go. There are beautiful scenery, delicious food, new clothes, and most importantly, I glanced at the script on the table, just as Li Yuan said. The winter festival is indeed a major event in the script. The winter palace was built amidst the mountains, where snow weighed down the green pines, blanketing everything in a soft, white fluff. After paying respects at the mountaintop temple, the view opened up, the sky and earth vast and distant. I took a deep, refreshing breath of the crisp air. The 5th prince, Li Heng, approached me with a smile and said, Crown Princess, that peach-red dress of yours today is quite spirited. Li Heng was a refined scholar, gentle and polished as jade, as handsome as the young scholars in my storybooks. He usually has a good eye and likes to compliment me with words I don't understand, which makes me feel quite pleased. Today, he said my outfit looks spirited. Spirited is a compliment I've never heard before. What a great word. I was about to clasp my hands and bow to Li Heng to express my thanks when the Empress came from behind. She was clearly still holding a grudge against me from our last argument. With a cold snort, she said, Hunger is still too kind. I think the Crown Princess simply lacks propriety. I've never seen anyone wear peach-red clothes to worship the Buddha. What's wrong with peach-red? Li Yuan said that with the frost and snow piling up white in the mountains, wearing peach-red makes people feel cheerful, and it's also harder to get lost. How wonderful. I was just about to tell the Empress that this outfit was your dear son's idea for me. Before I could say it, Li Yuan had already demonstrated with his actions. He shuffled out of the Buddha hall, walked toward me with a confused expression, holding a lucky charm in his hand. Here, for you. He handed me the lucky bag and asked, What did you just wish for, bro? You really can't read the room. I glanced at Li Yuan and then at the Empress. She clearly wanted to speak ill of me to Li Yuan, but the moment she noticed what he was wearing, she choked back her words, unable to utter a single one. She must never have expected that her precious son, Li Yuan, was wearing clothes made from the same bolt of peach-red fabric as mine. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. Li Heng was the quickest to react. politely saying, "Your Highness's robe is as exquisite as ever, truly matching your noble bearing." "Thank you." Li Yuan pulled me closer to his side, and then we heard the Empress chime in, "Yuana has an extraordinary presence and is so handsome, naturally. He looks good in anything he wears." I nodded vigorously in agreement. On the matter of admiring Li Yuan's good looks, I found myself, for once, on the same side as the Empress, but the Queen insisted on turning the conversation back to me. As for the Crown Princess, she didn't even look in the mirror before going out. Not everyone can pull off such bright red and green. Well, it's fine to praise Li Yuan, but there's no need to drag me into it. Su Qinghe leaned close to my ear and quietly comforted me. "Sister, don't listen to what the Queen Mother says. That outfit of yours looks..." She glanced at me a few times and finally came up with a word, "festive." I completely understood now. What spirit? What festivity? It's all a lie. In one word, tacky. This is all Li Yuan's fault. When I asked him to help me choose between the two sets, he insisted on the peach-colored one, saying things like bright colors are delightful. He clearly dragged me along just to make himself look good in red, using me as a foil for his beauty. What a heartless man. Now it's all messed up. With so many nobles watching, everyone will think it's my fault, although I've always admitted that I have issues with my brain. I don't want to admit that my taste is also problematic. I glared at Li Yuan in annoyance and dashed down the mountain. The Empress's sarcastic voice came from behind. "She's becoming less and less like a crown princess, utterly vulgar." The kind-hearted female lead tried to smooth things over. "I actually think Her Majesty has refined sensibilities, and elder sister is approachable. Both are quite good." Li Yuan chimed in agreement. "Indeed, Nian Nian has an innocent nature." "Please don't blame her, Mother Empress. They are all so good with words. There's just that kind of between the male and female leads, making you feel they should be a couple just by listening to them talk." I stumbled as I ran, hiding behind the crooked tree, and secretly glanced back. As luck would have it, Li Yuan and Su Qinghe were looking at each other, one in peach pink, the other in emerald green. The feeling, how to put it, the main characters are the main characters. Even just standing there, they are exceptionally pleasing to the eye. No sooner had I returned to the side room than Li Yuan came chasing after me. He asked with a slight pant, smiling, "What, are you really that unwilling to wear the same clothes as me?" Of course, who wants to be a green leaf when they can be a flower? My emotions came on so abruptly. Li Yuan observed me for a while before tentatively asking, "Are you really angry?" No, actually, the moment he said that, my anger vanished. After all, with my ordinary looks, I have no right to be angry in the first place. Li Yuan didn't believe it. Standing aside with his arms crossed, after holding back for a long time, he finally managed to explain, "You are the crown princess. If you don't wear the same pattern as me, are you going to match with Li Heng instead?" I understood what he meant. This time, only 2 colors of fabric were delivered, one red and one blue. If I had chosen blue, I would have ended up wearing the same color as Li Heng. So not only was it not his fault, but I actually had to thank him for it. Since things had already come to this, there was no use in saying more. I just wanted to quickly change my clothes and secure a good seat at the banquet. So I casually responded to him while reaching out to open a chest. But when I saw what was inside the box, I froze in place. Inside the box lay a set of ice skating dance attire, resting quietly. Silver threads intricately adorned the plain silk, shimmering brilliantly under the candlelight, impossible to ignore. "How did you bring it here?" I was so frightened that I slammed the lid shut, instantly forgetting the argument. With only sheer terror left in my heart, I clearly hid this box away. Oh, I think I couldn't resist leaving a mark again. A smug smile spread across Li Yuan's face. "I remember there's a scene in your script where we go ice skating together. Look. I've already prepared everything for you." Looking at Li Yuan's matter-of-fact expression, "No, this won't do. I'm not acting." I kicked the chest away with my foot. "You know what will happen. How could I possibly? So what if I get hurt?" Li Yuan interrupted me. "Haven't I suffered enough injuries for your script over the years?" He walked over, took out the dress, and held it against me to compare, looking completely indifferent. "This time is different. It's not like the minor scuffles before. This time, it's covered in wounds, rivers of blood, unconscious. How could I possibly do that to you? In the script, I, the vicious female supporting character, in order to grab attention, deceived Li Yuan into performing ice skating with me in front of everyone. But my skating skills were truly lacking. Not only did I fall, but my skate blades swept across the back of Li Yuan's legs, leaving many cuts. Blood from the wounds pooled on the ice. A vivid red, Li Yuan lost so much blood that his face turned as pale as paper, nearly on the brink of death. Every time I read these descriptions in the script, my heart felt as if it had been brutally stabbed, and tears uncontrollably streamed down my face. Forget about whether we would part ways and become strangers. At the very least, I didn't want to see him get hurt, so, before leaving, I directly hid the ice skating costume, solving the problem at its root. I didn't expect Li Yuan to directly solve the root of the problem. I'm not going. As soon as I spoke, I realized my voice was terribly hoarse. Li Yuan noticed my unusual state and leaned closer to look into my eyes. Bai Nian Nian, you. His eyes were brimming with laughter, and I had to glare back at him with tear-filled eyes, flustered and disheveled. You, what you? Go find Su Qinghe yourself. I'm not sticking around. Li Yuan's hand on my shoulder paused for a moment. I felt like he wanted to hug me, but he very naturally turned his back instead. How could you go looking for her? The surroundings fell silent for a moment, and I suddenly realized something. Indeed, I couldn't seek out Su Qinghe. Such a dangerous matter truly shouldn't involve the female lead. It had to be me, the supporting female character, who should suffer the consequences. Li Yuan seemed to realize he had said something wrong. He glanced at me cautiously and tried to lighten the mood with a joke, saying, "This script is all messed up. It should have been you tricking and coaxing me into acting like a loving couple with you. But in the end, it feels like I'm the one begging you." "Ah, all right, Bai Nian Nian, I'm begging you. Please perform the ice play with me." Looking at his face, which wore the same playful grin as always, I felt an inexplicable pang of bitterness welling up inside me. My not-so-bright mind has only just now thought of another possibility. After Li Yuan was injured, Su Qinghe's tireless care became the perfect opportunity for their relationship to grow closer. Li Yuan had read the script. He must have realized that if he hadn't been injured, there would be no happiness later on. He is the male lead, he should love the female lead. And I am the female supporting character, a disobedient one. What can I do when I refuse to follow the script and harm the male and female leads? And when I overstep my role to protect the male lead? When the time comes, I'll just have to use all my skills to give him a light cut, just enough to let him play the victim in front of the female lead without causing serious injury. Li Yuan saw my bitter smile and continued to persuade me, "It's just a minor injury. I'm not even afraid." "So why are you, when the time comes, you?" I interrupted him with a cold expression. "Fine, I'll jump." But in my heart, I was thinking, I really don't want to be this trashy female supporting character for even one more day. After changing into my ice skating outfit, I stood in front of the mirror. Li Yuan had also changed into a crescent white robe, simply embroidered with auspicious cloud patterns in silver thread. I looked at the two of us standing together in the mirror. One was dressed in a plain robe yet resembled the bright moon in the sky, radiating a clear and gentle light. The other was bathed in the moonlight's glow, with silver shimmering silk fluttering and swirling. It should have been a perfect match, yet it seemed only in this moment under the bright moon, beautiful. Li Yuan quietly took hold of my hand that was clutching the hem of my clothes. The warmth from his palm made me realize my hand was already drenched in sweat. "Li Yuan, are you really that eager to perform on the ice?" Li Yuan gently brushed the hair from my forehead. "Those bullies laughed at you for being rustic. I want to show them what a heavenly beauty descending to earth looks like." I looked at his serious expression and muttered, "Who asked you to pick fuchsia for me?" I didn't expect it to be so. Li Yuan struggled for words before finally coming up with, "Distinctive, great, just wonderful." This was the third insulting vocabulary word I'd learned today. He turned his back and muttered something again. This time I heard it clearly. He said, "But I really think you look good in anything you wear." Li Yuan took out countless soft pads from the box behind him and started strapping them onto my hands, legs, and body, instantly making my already limited curves even more unfortunate. "It looks awful. Why did you tie so many on me? You're the one who should be wearing more." "You're the injured one," I complained to Li Yuan. He turned a deaf ear, fastening both sets of soft padding securely onto me. "You're so clumsy. What if you trip and fall?" That ice is freezing cold if you slip and catch a chill. I don't want to have to take care of you. Just listen to him. I pursed my lips, wanting to snap back at him as usual, but choked up, unable to utter a single word. Li Yuan crouched down on his own and straightened the hem of my skirt. Let's go, then, holding his hand. I walked with him into that cool, clear moonlight. The icy surface shimmered. I imagined myself like a fairy dancing in Swan Lake, graceful and elegant, with my sleeves fluttering in the wind, holding Li Yuan's hand and smiling with exceptional poise, until I saw my reflection in Li Yuan's eyes. That wasn't a swan, it was a fat goose, the kind of plump goose you'd stew in an iron pot, still wearing that absurd, unaware smile. But it doesn't matter, the world I saw was beautiful. Because my world was filled with Li Yuan. He held my hand with one hand, the other resting behind his back. I could clearly feel his gentle breath, like a warm piece of jade nestled in the mountains and rivers. The biting wind on the ice lingered around us, carrying waves of a delicate fragrance, the scent of the sachet Li Yuan wore. In a daze, I seemed to hear him say, "My Nyan Nyan is truly beautiful." It wasn't the usual careless tone, but a firm, gentle one, even gentler than the moon. But I was very uncertain if I had actually heard those words, because that entire night was so beautiful it felt like nothing more than a cold, clear dream. Li Yuan led me, gliding to the center of the ice. I watched his face draw closer and closer to mine, and unconsciously closed my eyes. Li Yuan, the male lead kissing the supporting female character. It doesn't seem so bad after all. The warm breath lingered with ill intent for a long time before finally drawing close. Brushing against the earlobe, I heard Li Yuan chuckle softly and blow a puff of air. "You've got your padding properly arranged, right?" "Oh," I snapped back to reality and nodded awkwardly. "All right, let's do it here." I realized what he was referring to. I had no reason to back down. He agreed, Su Qinghe agreed, the system agreed, and the vast audience agreed, and I've already thought of a way to deal with it. But in that moment, my instinct was to run. I've lived 23 years and never knew I could be so agile. Li Yuan was jumping around behind me trying to catch me, while I dodged left and right, playing out the scene of she runs, he chases, she can't escape even with wings on the ice. Finally, Li Yuan, with the expression of a heroic martyr, lunged and tackled me to the ground, barely winning this chase. "By Nian Nian, you run pretty fast," he said, without pausing. Lifting the ice skate and slashing it several times across his hands and legs, the tender flesh was exposed, blood gushing out, cold as black ink under the moonlight. "Li Yuan, do you have any basic knowledge of biology? How could you just cut directly into a blood vessel? Are you going to such extremes just to win Su Qinghe's favor?" Watching him wince in pain with furrowed brows, I couldn't help but reach out and cup his face. The crowd at the gathering began to stir. Li Yuan squeezed my hand. "Let's keep it short." He took a few breaths. "You're sensitive to the cold, so don't sleep in the mountains tonight. It's cold and run down. I've prepared a sedan chair at the foot of the hill. There are quilts, a heating stove, and a hot water bottle inside. If you plan to wait for me, remember to wear an extra layer of clothing." I said okay. Li Yuan said, "Inside the sedan chair, directly opposite, there are 2 hidden compartments. One contains the picture books you often read, and the other has some pastries and snacks." I nodded and said okay, unable to hold back the tremor in my voice. "If I don't wake up, Anu and Xiao Wei will stay here to take care of you. Don't be afraid, there are plenty of candles prepared, so if you're really scared of the dark, just light a lamp and sleep." I said okay while holding him close to shield him from the wind. Li Yuan took a few breaths of the cold air. "Don't worry, I know my limits, it's nothing serious. Rest assured and have a good sleep. Come up the mountain tomorrow after you wake up." I said okay, feeling somewhat at a loss. I had no idea he could be so meticulous, and, well, talkative. "Should I assign you a squad of Imperial Guards?" He even tugged at the corner of his mouth with a hint of a smile. Fine beads of sweat instantly appearing on his forehead. "Li Yuan," I blurted out in my anxiety, not wanting to sound too harsh, and in my flustered state. My words trailed off with an inexplicable, coquettish lilt. Li Yuan was clearly taken aback by this overly intimate form of address. After snapping back to reality, he gritted his teeth and took a few heavy breaths. I glanced back at the crowd gradually closing in, then looked down at Li Yuan in my arms. If you keep talking, we'll be exposed." It was I who was about to be exposed. If he kept talking, where would I hide my tears? Li Yuan also sensed the crowd approaching. He took one last look at me. The cool moonlight cast a hazy glow over his gaze. Then take good care of yourself. Your husband is going to faint first." I really burst into tears. "You can faint if you want, but why do you have to keep mentioning me in every sentence? How am I supposed to handle this?" So mean, furious, I reached out and covered his eyes, hiding in the center of the deserted ice rink. Silently shedding tears, by the time the guards arrived, Li Yuan was already barely conscious, yet he still tightly held my hand, murmuring over and over, "Be good, Nyan Nyan, don't be afraid." 4 or 5 guards couldn't pull him away no matter how hard they tried, making me so anxious that I shed 2 more streams of tears. Who exactly is the one who's afraid here? The Empress, the Emperor, and a whole crowd surrounded the 2 of us, bustling about in a flurry until they finally managed to separate him from me, then carried him off in a bustling crowd to the side chamber. Before leaving, the Empress even gave me a meaningful look. On that winter night, his gaze sent a chill down my spine, and a sense of foreboding lingered in my heart, refusing to fade, until a gust of wind swept across the icy surface, and a figure stood silently beside me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw it was Li Heng. He looked at the distant crowd and asked me, "Aren't you going to follow and see, sister-in-law?" So indifferent, I turned back in a daze, and Li Heng was clearly taken aback. "You're crying." The tear stains on my face must have been very obvious, and my face was swollen and burning with pain. Who would care about him? I muttered under my breath, "You 2 are quite the pair." Li Heng clicked his tongue and sighed twice. "Don't worry. My brother is blessed and protected. He will surely be safe and sound." Li Heng helped me up, comforting me with a stream of reassuring words as he walked with me on the icy surface. But how could I possibly feel at ease? Since I married him, I had never seen him suffer such a severe injury. The only serious incident I could recall was in the early winter of the year I first entered the residence. Su Qinghe pestered me to climb the tree and pick persimmons. But the branch couldn't bear the weight and sent us both tumbling to the ground. The maids and servants rushed over in a panic to help Su Qinghe, and after everyone had scattered, no one noticed me still lying on the ground. I actually felt fine, but I was a bit heartbroken over those 2 persimmons. I went back to my room and sulked in frustration for most of the day. That scoundrel Li Yuan spent half the day laughing at me while applying medicine to my wounds, saying it was the first time he'd ever seen a crown princess get so worked up over 2 persimmons. Was I really doing it for the persimmons? I just couldn't bear to waste even a little bit. But after laughing at me, he silently walked into the night, running all over the capital to pick the 2 most perfectly round persimmons. "Here, your persimmons," he said. I hesitated, not wanting to take them, but he forced them into my hand and added, "Only you have them, Su Qinghe doesn't." I silently held the firm persimmons in my hand for a long time, feeling helpless, then opened my palm and said to him, "Then I'll share one with you." Li Yuan's forehead was still beaded with fine sweat, yet the corners of his mouth softened. He didn't guard against it at all, and with one bite, he put on such a spectacular show of sourness right in front of me that it made me laugh through my tears. This fool can't tell a persimmon from a tomato. But it's not his fault. Tomatoes are rare in this era, so it's no surprise that even the esteemed Crown Prince Li has never seen one. The next day, Li Yuan was severely beaten with a cane by the 80-year-old minister for climbing over the wall and stealing tomatoes that had been presented as tribute from foreign lands. That time he was at fault first, and he was truly hurt badly. Su Qinghe and I sat in the room, laughing as we shared another tomato, while he lay in the yard wailing about having met with misfortune, howling for a full day and night. Unfortunately, I no longer have the same mindset as I did back then, and I can no longer laugh. Li Heng saw me with tears streaming down my face, both crying and laughing, and was utterly baffled. "It's getting late. You should go see third brother." Hearing this, I looked up and realized I had unknowingly arrived at Li Yuan's chamber door. I pushed the door open and Su Qinghe pressed close. "Sister, you've finally come. I'll leave this place to you now." I looked around and realized she was the only one left in the room. "Where are father and mother?" He hit me. Su Qinghe pointed at Li Yuan, complaining to me with the look of a bullied little wife. I feel like Su Qinghe's attitude is getting more and more off. What did she complain to me about? Su Qinghe continued. No one could get close. I persuaded the others to go back and waited for you to come take over. Well then, I'll leave it to you, sis. No, wait a minute. Li Yuan went so far as to hurt himself just to put on this act. Wouldn't it be inappropriate for you to leave? But Su Qinghe clearly didn't know any of this. She looked at me pitifully, her almond-shaped eyes glistening with unshed tears. And my heart softened at the sight. Ah, if the female lead isn't anxious, why should I, a supporting female character, be in such a hurry? I waved my hand. Go ahead, go ahead. There's a sedan chair at the foot of the mountain. Go rest there and wait for us. Su Qinghe immediately beamed with a sweet smile, thanked me, and dashed out the door as if fleeing. It seems the winter sacrifice performance is not going to happen. I walked to the bedside, looked at the person writhing in pain on the bed, and sighed. Li Yuan, this time it's really not that I'm not helping you, but your beautiful wife ran away on her own. We'll just have to try harder next time. As I spoke, I moved Li Yuan back onto the pillow and adjusted him properly. But honestly, Li Yuan, if you end up with Su Qinghe in the future, you'd better carry a good physician with you at all times. Really, I don't know if it's because medical science in this era is too underdeveloped. First, Li Yuan held a knife to cut his blood vessels, and then Su Qinghe bandaged him so tightly it felt like strangling his windpipe. Can you not hit people? If I were Li Yuan, I'd also lash out indiscriminately from being choked like that, fuming and amused at the same time. I fetched fresh water, cleaned Li Yuan's wound, wrapped it in gauze, and tucked him in under the covers. Afraid that Li Yuan would feel uncomfortable, I was busy almost the entire night, washing the gauze over and over again, feeding him medicine and applying it. By the time I returned with the medicine for the third time, the sky was already beginning to brighten. Fortunately, Li Yuan was sleeping quite peacefully, tucked under the covers, lying properly. Only his eyes were visible. He has always been very well behaved when sleeping, like an obedient child. I leaned over the edge of the bed to look at him, and as I watched, I couldn't resist gently pinching his cheek, only to have him groggily grab my hand. Nyan nyan. My heart instantly melted into a puddle. Just as I was about to respond, he blinked a few times and suddenly sobered up. By Nyan nyan. What are you doing here? I pouted and withdrew my hand, feeling rather dejected. You hit people at night, and they can't take care of you. Li Yuan glared at me. Then you should leave too. Why not go to that comfortable place instead of suffering here with me? I stood up and helped tuck in his blanket. He probably had no idea that he had just obediently called me Nyan Nyan moments ago. Looking at him now, so furious that he was practically spraying saliva, I even found it somewhat adorable. Li Yuan gritted his teeth in anger. Do you have any idea how much that sedan chair costs per day? And those pastries, how long I worked on them? Do you know how much those storybooks, by Nyan Nyan, you are? Before he could start badmouthing Piggy again, I couldn't hold back any longer. Then what about you? Who will take care of you? Li Yuan stopped speaking. He took a deep breath, glanced at me with a heavy look in his eyes, and instantly lost his temper. Get on. Before I could react, he had already grabbed my wrist and pulled me into the bed. Let's sleep together for a while. I stared at him in a daze. I heard him let out a long sigh, then wrapped the blanket around us as he slowly pulled me into his embrace. I really wanted to remind this guy with no medical knowledge that his arm was injured and shouldn't be pressed on, but his embrace was just too warm. I feel like a tiny little doll, being held so dearly by my owner. The gentle pats on my back were just the right kind of tender, and before long, my consciousness grew hazy. I remember the last thing I said was, Li Yuan, winter is here again, and I really want to eat tomato scrambled eggs, with a spoonful of Larogan Ma. Li Yuan said something like, the minister's son has joined the army, and you're practically murdering your own husband, and angrily tried to kick me off the bed. The result seemed to be that he held me even tighter, squeezing me so that I had to bury myself completely in his embrace. Whether it was because Li Yuanjin had shown restraint in his actions or because he was young and had a strong constitution, after a night, most of his wounds had already clotted with blood. There was no infection, no fever, and his cheeks even had a flush from being tucked under the covers, giving him an unexpectedly healthy complexion. Satisfied, I moved my hand away from his forehead. only to find his gaze fixed intently into the depths of my eyes. A cool breeze passed by, and for a moment, I felt a bit restless. In the blink of an eye, the voice of the maid outside the door came. "Your Highness, the Crown Princess. Her Majesty the Empress requests your presence at the Buddha Hall to copy scriptures and pray for blessings." Before I could move, Li Yuan's eyes flickered, and he grabbed my hand firmly. "I'll send someone to decline Mother's request." Even Li Yuan could see that the Empress was summoning me to suffer, but after a moment of hesitation, I still hardened my heart and pulled my hand away, lifting the covers to get out of bed. Last night, the Empress's gaze made it very clear, if I didn't go, it would be my fault for being impolite first. With just a single charge of grave disrespect, Her Majesty could easily have me banished to the cold palace. When you're under someone else's roof, you have to bow your head. Just then, Su Qinghe came running into the courtyard, calling out "Sister," with a cheerful laugh as she came looking for us. Looking out through the window, I saw the young girl in her red robe, her face glowing as she ran through the snow, vibrant and full of life. I instantly remembered what Li Yuan had said when picking out clothes earlier. Bright colors are pleasing. What he must have been picturing in his mind was a beauty like the female lead. She really did look stunning. Li Yuan lay on the bed, unable to move, and could only glare at me fiercely with his eyes. Naturally, I pretended not to see it. I picked up the medicine from the table and shoved it into Su Qinghe's hands as soon as she entered the door. "Sister, I'll trouble you with this. I have my own palace intrigue to deal with, and they have their romance script to act out. The stage is set. There's no reason not to continue the performance." The moment I stepped out, a cold wind hit me in the face, making my cloak flutter. I think the back view I left behind must have been particularly dashing, but I hadn't taken more than 2 steps before my nose started to ache. Holding the script of a supporting female character, doing the work of the female lead, and worrying like the male lead, I don't understand how things ended up like this again. They always manage to turn misfortune into blessing, their bond stronger than gold, while I'm the one who ends up suffering. The Buddha Hall was cold and solemn. With its doors wide open, letting in an unceasing chilly wind, huddled in a corner, I copied scriptures while dozing off. Before long, my entire hand became red and swollen, unable to bend or stretch. At noon, Su Qinghe came looking for me with a food basket and complained, "The Crown Prince refuses to eat lunch or take his medicine." I knew Li Yuan was nothing but trouble. I wanted to curse, but my cheeks were frozen stiff. As soon as I opened my mouth, a cold laugh escaped me for no reason. "Is he really that much trouble?" A tone dripping with sarcastic bitterness. Su Qinghe was clearly taken aback. I was about to explain to her when Li Heng walked in from outside, smiling as he spoke. "Please inform His Highness the Crown Prince that the 5th Prince is also in the prayer hall, and the Crown Princess is safe and sound. Tell him to rest assured and focus on recovering from his injuries." Su Qinghe glanced at me, let out an "oh," then turned and left, feeling somewhat resentful. I asked Li Heng coldly, "Why did you say all that?" "Li Yuan just needs a good scolding. He'll behave after being yelled at." Li Heng stared at me for a long while, his lips twitching. "Do you really not see what His Highness means?" "What do you mean?" "I didn't see it." Li Heng took a deep breath with an unreadable expression. "You'll understand someday." "All right," I muttered, not taking it to heart. Li Heng stayed to help me copy scriptures. I sat beside him grinding ink, intermittently complaining about his ungrateful emperor brother, rushing and rushing. I finally finished copying the scriptures by dinner time. Li Heng didn't say much, only advising me, "Hurry back. My elder brother must be getting anxious." I didn't respond directly, thanked him, and walked towards the side room against the cold wind. The Buddha Hall was cold and desolate, but Li Yuan's side room was warm and cozy. From afar, the room was lit with warm candles, their gentle glow spreading to my feet, perhaps to dispel the scent of blood. The incense in the room was particularly strong, carrying the warmth of the bed, flirting at the tip of my nose. For no reason, a sudden tension arose within me. Step by step, I crossed the courtyard. Step by step, I ascended the stairs, and bit by bit, the silhouettes of a perfect couple came into view. Li Yuan and Su Qinghe sat by the couch, each lowering their heads to read the books in their hands. The wilderness was silent, and neither of them spoke. Yet in that moment, an extraordinary tranquility emerged. The tension instantly melted away. replaced by a tremor at the tip of the heart. My hand rested on the door ring, yet I didn't have an ounce of strength to push the door open at that moment. I felt like a filthy ant that had trespassed into a golden hall, stealing a glimpse of a beauty that was never meant for me. Even standing outside the door gave me the feeling of being a thief. A maid came running from outside the courtyard, saying that Her Majesty the Empress had summoned me again. I should be grateful to Her Majesty the Empress for giving me an excuse to escape. I nodded and took one last look back at the side chamber. As soon as I turned around, tears, unbidden, were forced out by the wind. I tightened my cloak and rushed into the winter night without daring to linger for even a moment. Crown Princess, the handwriting in these scriptures doesn't seem to be yours. Her Majesty the Empress, while eating pastries, inspected the Buddhist scriptures I had copied, even meticulously pointing out the typos I had made. One typo and you'll have to copy 20 more pages. I didn't expect her to personally inspect it. She's really putting in so much effort to scheme against me in the palace intrigues, working so hard that I almost want to help her succeed. The Empress said she would punish me by making me stay in the outer hall to copy scriptures, 240 pages. I'm mentally exhausted and have no intention of struggling, so I agreed without even thinking. The Empress didn't expect me to be so obedient. Before entering the room, she added another reminder: this matter is your own fault, so don't go bothering anyone else. I knew she was referring to Li Yuan. Even without her reminder, both emotionally and logically, I wouldn't go ruin Li Yuan's wonderful night tonight. The Queen's palace stood atop the mountain, surrounded by a sea of flowing clouds. The entire resort was immersed in a silent, beautiful dream. One by one, the lights went out, and only the lamp in Li Yuan's room remained lit for a very, very long time. In the incense burner on the desk, 3 wisps of smoke drifted leisurely, lingering and refusing to disperse. I sat back down at the desk, took a deep breath of the sandalwood incense, picked up my brush, and wrote, "The body is not a tree, nor is the bright mirror a stand. Originally, there is not a single thing where could dust ever gather. Yesterday, Li Yuan asked me if I had any wishes. I was too embarrassed to tell him in front of everyone, because my wish only concerned him. It was that I hoped Li Yuan would be well, that he would win the female lead, that he would have both sons and daughters in his lifetime, with a beauty by his side, and live a life free from disaster and pain. It's not that I care about him so much. At that time, I thought, since it was Li Yuan, not myself or a close relative, whether this wish would come true or not, I might not even have the chance to know, so it didn't really matter much. But now, I can no longer say for sure whether I truly hope it will come true. As I chanted the scriptures, I thought about the past, and surprisingly, I didn't doze off the entire night. I feel like I've become smarter. After a whole night, my entire soul has been elevated. When Su Qinghe ran into the hall screaming, I even managed to greet her with considerable grace. "Sister, what are you doing here?" Only then did I get a clear look at her. Her delicate face was streaked with tears, truly a sight that would move anyone to pity. I wanted to rise and help her up, but my legs had long gone stiff. The moment I moved, stars danced before my eyes. In a world of white, Li Yuan, as expected, barged in right after. I felt my heart become calm and still, yet, when I caught the identical scent of incense on both of them, mingled together, I couldn't help but shed 2 tears for no reason. "Bye, Nyan, Nyan." Li Yuan's face turned ashen. "Why is this guy getting angry at me now?" I forced a smile, which looked more pained than happy, and asked, "Why are you out of bed?" Who would have thought that as soon as I opened my mouth, everything went black before my eyes, and I collapsed right at Li Yuan's feet, losing consciousness. I woke up in the carriage on the way back to the palace. I was lying on Li Yuan's lap, while he leaned against the carriage frame, his arm in a sling. "Why are we going back already? How long was I unconscious?" I scrambled to sit up, only to be pressed back down by Li Yuan. "What, so eager to stay at the detached palace? So eager to go find Li Heng? No, what kind of nonsense is this? Bai Nian Nian, your husband is lying in bed, and you're not the least bit worried. Well done, Bai Nian Nian, really well done." I could feel Li Yuan was so angry he was losing his mind, grinding his teeth and talking incoherently. "No, bro, wasn't that supposed to be your special night with Su Qinghe? If I didn't leave, was I supposed to stand by and sing a song to get you two in the mood? You guys are into some wild stuff. Her Majesty ordered me to copy scriptures and told me not to tell you. I cautiously explained to Li Yuan. By Nian Nian, you're still a bit lacking when it comes to deceiving me. You ran off like a rabbit, thinking no one would notice. I froze for a moment, so he had chased after me last night. But he didn't call out to stop me, nor did he plead on my behalf. Of course, I had no right to expect him to plead for me. I knew my place. But I always have the right to admit defeat, don't I? I muttered for a long while. Li Yuan, maybe we should just separate. Li Yuan instantly fell silent. He looked down at me, disbelief in his eyes. What did you say? By Nian Nian, you'd better think carefully before you speak. Actually, I've thought this through very clearly. In the past, to help them get together, I didn't mind taking a small loss and enjoying the show. But after all, everyone has feelings. I don't know when I got caught up in this game, but once my heart became entangled. Watching this play only brought bitterness. Where was the fun in that anymore? I reached up and touched the stubble on Li Yuan's chin. Li Yuan, you said you married me for my money. I'll leave all my money to you. Just let me go, if you don't want a divorce. Then just write me a letter of repudiation. By Nian Nian, Li Yuan cut me off sharply, his eyes blazing as if they could spit fire. You still think I married you for money? Can't you really tell? Whatever the reason, just let you go. Where would you go? After divorce, where would you go? A crown princess kicked out of the palace. Do you dare return home? Do you dare step outside? Li Yuan tightly gripped my hand, squeezing until it hurt. I didn't know where I could go. But I was absolutely certain that no matter where I went, I couldn't stay by his side any longer. I didn't want to get trapped. I yanked my hand back, tears welling up in my eyes. Li Yuan, you have the female lead now. What's the point of me, this supporting female character, staying? Li Yuan stared at me, his gaze gradually deepening. You actually ask me what I'm staying for? By Nian Nian, you actually ask me what you're staying for? Fine, I'll tell you what you're staying for. Before the words had even left my mouth, I watched as his face drew closer and closer, overwhelming me as it descended. A storm swept across my lips. So this is what it feels like. So this is the taste of his kiss, so fervent and intense, burning with heat. I instinctively shrank back. But Li Yuan gave me no chance. With one hand supporting my lower back, he pressed me against his chest, and I was tightly pressed against him, with no room to break free. The love that was no longer suppressed burst forth, surging like a violent storm. As our lips and teeth tangled, I couldn't control the tears that ran wild, and the world grew increasingly blurry. In a daze, I heard Li Yuan panting as he asked me, "Do you understand now?" I shook my head. How could I not understand? I just didn't want to understand. I was afraid I couldn't win, so I just wanted to run away. Li Yuan, the proud son of heaven, appeared arrogant and conceited on the surface. But deep down he was as fragile and sensitive as a child. He had been so straightforward and so eager to please me, yet received no response from me, which naturally left him extremely embarrassed. After returning to the capital, he no longer lingered around me all day, claiming that the palace was busy with year-end affairs and moved into the palace. Meanwhile, the Empress naturally wouldn't let me off easily either. While the Empress couldn't easily take action against me in the temporary palace, the main palace was her domain. Disrespecting the Empress, violating palace rules, showing irreverence to the gods, failing to honor the crown prince, both old and new grievances were all settled on me at once. Punished by kneeling and beatings, serving tea and water, brewing medicine and cooking, endless chores, and ceaseless scolding, whips, knives, and alls. I have suffered them all. Li Yuan naturally heard not a whisper of it, and the servants had all been warned, not one daring to approach me. Once, while making soup, a kind-hearted maid tried to help me light the fire. I heard she was beaten that very night, and I never saw her again. In truth, it was just a step too slow. If I hadn't insisted on divorcing before the winter festival to protect Li Yuan, perhaps I wouldn't be suffering so much now. So you see, sympathizing with a man is truly the beginning of misfortune. One day, it rained heavily, and the firewood got damp and couldn't be used. So I went to the Empress to ask for a different task. The Empress, wrapped in a woolen blanket and sipping tea, thought for a moment and said, "Then go kneel in the courtyard." I couldn't refuse, because I knew that if I did, things would only get worse for me. The rain fell in a steady curtain, and a chill rose from the ground. I huddled in a corner of the wall, barely managing to shield my back. A grand drama played out in my mind, starting with Yiping going to her father to borrow money, then moving to Ruoshi being punished to kneel, and finally the noble Lady Qi being beaten to death. The more I thought about it, the sadder I became. Even those incredibly powerful characters nearly ruined their entire lives. I'm just a foolish supporting female character. What am I struggling for? No matter how much love and affection there is, it's not worth sacrificing myself. The queen was guarding against Li Yuan, but she never expected Li Heng to come. In the evening, when Li Heng entered the courtyard, he came face to face with me kneeling by the wall, as still as stagnant water. He stood there in a daze for a long while, and when the queen was nowhere to be seen, he turned and swiftly fetched Li Yuan. Li Yuan arrived panting and out of breath, not saying a word, only glaring at me furiously. I couldn't hold back and poured out all the grievances from these past few days. Why are you being so harsh with me? I said I wanted a divorce, but you were the one who refused. Li Yuan froze instantly, raindrops pelted against the umbrella, and I realized the bitterness in my words. Feeling an inexplicable surge of heartache, just as I was about to explain myself to Li Yuan, he beat me to it and admitted, "It's my fault. Anti-piracy notice. Xiaohu bot secures documents for bookfinding bots. Choose Xiaohu, reliable heavy checkmark hash and scam-free." The voice fell into the rain. Trembling, Li Yuan glanced at Li Heng, then looked at me. "But you've been avoiding me so much, suffering so greatly, and you didn't even say a word to me." Right, I hadn't told him. First, I hadn't found the time to see him. And besides, I thought it would be better to let him spend more time with Su Qinghe. Li Heng added fuel to the fire. "Someone as resolute as your highness must be truly heartbroken this time." Bullshit heartbreak, bullshit resolute. I was filled with regret. If I could have escaped, I would have long ago. However, it's often said that men understand men best. Li Yuan, upon hearing this, seemed to believe it. Before I could explain, the two brothers exchanged a knowing glance, then turned and walked straight into the Empress's chamber. Soon, the sound of an argument could be heard from inside. I could only make out Li Yuan's voice clearly. "Didn't we agree not to bother Nyan Nyan?" he cried. His voice filled with urgency and anger, accompanied by the sound of shattering objects. "I was the one who wanted to go ice skating. I was the one who fell. Nyan Nyan took care of me, working tirelessly and enduring hardship. How could you, mother, not only fail to praise her but even punish her? At least you have a bit of conscience." The Empress responded with something, but Li Yuan cut her off directly. "Yes, I do have ulterior motives. It's not for her money, I just like her as a person." Immediately after, the crisp sound of a slap rang out. The pouring rain came down hard, drenching me from head to toe. I stood there in a daze, my back stiff and tense. Hearing Li Yuan openly admit that he liked me was a strange feeling. So strange that I couldn't react at all before being jolted awake by the Empress slapping Li Yuan across the face. I didn't want to hear anything anymore. I didn't want to see anything anymore. I just wanted Li Yuan to come out quickly. Li Yuan continued, "On this matter, I will not yield. She is worth it, and I will spare no cost." The rain was so heavy I couldn't even open my mouth. "It's not worth it. Really not worth it. I don't want him to do this for me." After about the time it takes to burn one incense stick, the argument finally ended. Li Yuan took me back to the palace, and I helped him apply medicine. We were both still angry with each other, silently maintaining our like two quiet chickens. Only when the charcoal fire in the room had died out and the cold became suffocating did Li Yuan rise with a pained grimace to relight it, casually instructing me as if it were an afterthought. "In the future, if the Empress Dowager has any orders, remember to tell me first. Don't foolishly rush around without thinking." But what use was telling him? Today it's an argument. Tomorrow it's a beating, and the day after, could it be the stripping of titles, the revocation of honors, or being demoted to a commoner? The imperial palace has many princes. One less, Li Yuan, wouldn't make a difference. These are areas where I am completely powerless. And they are futures I absolutely do not wish to see. I sighed in sorrow. What is bound to come cannot be avoided. It's better to clarify things sooner rather than later. I set down the ointment and sat down opposite him. "Li Yuan, I still want to leave." With a sharp clack, Li Yuan set down the teacup. "By Nian Nian, You clearly heard everything. Veins bulged on his neck, and when he looked up again, his eyes were already red. He hadn't expected that such blatant protection would still be met with my request for a divorce. The light shimmered in his eyes as he looked at me with panic. That day in the carriage, you knew my feelings. You clearly knew. I had never seen Li Yuan so flustered before. His incoherent words filled the room, and as he spoke, they gradually faded into low murmurs tinged with a heavy nasal tone. You still want to leave, I know. You don't believe I can protect you. No, I believe he is willing to protect me and capable of protecting me. But I know it would mean gambling with his life, betting his future. How could I bear to let him do that? Of course, I couldn't tell him these truths. If I did, he would never let me go. So I gritted my teeth, steeled my heart, rolled up my sleeve, and showed him the whip marks on my arm. Li Yuan, I can't fight against the Empress Dowager. The inner palace has methods you can't even imagine. When it came to my safety, he was truly frightened. He only glanced at it before turning his head away in a panic, his whole body trembling slightly. He was crying. I then uncovered the bruises on my back. Li Yuan, I am not suited for the palace. I have no desire to fight at all. Staying alive is more important than anything else. I'm sorry. Please let me go. Li Yuan did not agree and left without a word. But from that day on, he came every day to help me apply medicine. Each time he saw those bruises, he could not hold back his tears. We sat in silence, but he must have understood that my desire to leave only grew stronger. Now that this day has truly arrived, I can't say I feel much sorrow, only a sense of unreality. I wanted to recall something, but thanks to my not-so-sharp memory, I can't even clearly remember my own wedding. All I remember is that my vows seemed fragmented and half-hearted, drawing laughter from the entire hall. I also accidentally broke the wine pot used for the nuptial cup ceremony. I wasn't hurt, however. Li Yuan reached out to catch it but failed, and ended up with 7 or 8 cuts from the broken porcelain shards. Most families in the capital would place a statue of Guanyin, the child-giving goddess, along with the nuptial wine set on their altar to pray for a perfect marriage. But what sat on our altar was that patched-together broken wine pot that Li Yuan had painstakingly mended. Every time I see the cracks on the wine pot, I can't help but wonder if this absurd and hasty marriage between Li Yuan and me was destined from our wedding day. Day after day, just before the new year, Li Yuan was hastily summoned back to his residence from the palace. The Empress had just left, and I lay face down in the cold snow, my cheeks bruised and purple. Li Yuan crouched down, his eyes instantly reddening. Nyan Nyan, he called out in a hoarse voice, have you never considered doing it for me? He didn't continue. He knew I wouldn't flatter the Empress for him, nor would I stay for his sake. Li Yuan helped me to my feet. By the time we sat back in the room, he had calmed down. You're right, he said. The palace isn't the place for you. You should go. He raised his hand, and soon a servant came in carrying ink and brush. A moment later, 2 elegantly written divorce agreements were completed. One was given to me, and the other was sent to the Ministry of Rights. I knew the divorce was settled, but I couldn't help asking one more question. Such a big matter, shouldn't we discuss it with father and mother first? If we discuss it with them, I'm afraid they'll drag it out for another 6 months or more. You should go now, he said with a bitter smile. For the last time, can't I protect you just this once? His words carried a hint of arrogance, yet when he lifted his head, tears still uncontrollably rolled down his dark lashes. My heart ached too, but I forced myself to stay strong and returned to the bedroom to pack my belongings. Li Yuan followed me in without a word and sat beside me on the edge of the bed, quietly sorting through the valuables. He remained silent. With the dim twilight after the rain behind him, the faint light outlined the curves of his brocade robe, slightly hunched, like an ordinary husband planning a trip with his wife. I don't know why such absurd thoughts would still pop into my head when I'm about to leave. I shook my head and started a conversation with him. I've already taught the recipe for mung bean cakes to the cook. If you crave them, just go to her. The Empress Dowager treats you like a treasure. And you've upset her because of me. After I'm gone, find an opportunity to bring her some pastries to cheer her up. And Su Ching her, take good care of her. You should also take care of yourself. Li Yuan remained silent. I know he is heartbroken, and perhaps angry as well, since I was the one who abandoned him. I felt too ashamed to say anything more. So I fell silent and helped him pack our belongings. The news of our separation had likely already spread throughout the estate. And no servants came to light the lamps. By the time Li Yuan and I finished packing, the daylight had faded, leaving only a hazy outline in the dimness. I stood by the door as Li Yuan helped straighten the fluffy white rabbit fur collar of my cloak. Feeling a bit awkward, I explained to him, "Tonight, I'll return to the Bai residence first. My parents should be able to support me for a while. As for the future, we'll see." He let out an and nodded. I asked him, "Is there anything else you want to say?" He stood in the darkness, silent for a long while. "I haven't wronged you, Su Qinghe, and I didn't. Forget it," as if realizing further words were useless. He took a deep breath, dropped the subject, turned back, picked up a box, and handed it to me. Opening it, I saw 5 glistening, plump tomatoes glowing faintly in the night. "You mentioned it last time, so I went and asked for them. The minister said they need to ripen a bit more to become sweet. I've kept them for quite a while, they should be very sweet now. Take them for the journey." I saw him hiding in the darkness, unable to resist stealing glances at me, and my nose suddenly felt so sore. I suspect he did it on purpose. He deliberately wanted to make me sour to death. I don't know how Li Yuan explained it to the Emperor and Empress. But after leaving the mansion, not a single rumor leaked out. My parents have always doted on me. After a round of scolding and punishment, they ultimately shouldered all the consequences and hid me within the estate. I waited in the capital for nearly half a year. Seeing that Crown Prince Li Yuan remained completely unaffected, I concealed my identity and followed the Bai family's merchant caravan down to Yunju. And so I stayed, losing track of time. Catkins danced over grassy plains, while birds sang and orioles trilled. Another year, another spring. I was happily walking home with a freshly brewed jar of apricot blossom wine when I spotted a familiar face in the courtyard. It was that system that had once sought me out to play the role of a supporting female character. He sat in a high-backed chair, wearing the same black mask as before, legs crossed, revealing the golden-threaded auspicious cloud patterns embroidered on the soles of his shoes. Noticing me, he gave a meaningful smile and said, "Nestled by the mountains and waters, surrounded by flowers and birds, this is a fine place indeed." I set the wine pot down on the table. "I never intended to hide from you in the first place. Why did you leave Li Yuan?" He walked toward me with his hands behind his back, his weathered, hoarse voice instantly pulling me back to the past. Li Yuan, such a long unheard name. Seeing that I didn't answer, his gaze turned scrutinizing. "Were you dissatisfied with the female supporting character? You didn't fall in love with Li Yuan, did you? Damn it, is he spying on me?" I took a deep breath, turned around, and glared at him. "I was just about to ask you, didn't we agree not to take any lives, but several times? If I hadn't been foolish and accidentally stopped in time, Li Yuan and Su Qinghe might have really died. For example, during the joint kidnapping with the mountain bandits, those bandits genuinely intended to kill. Li Yuan had to go through great trouble, bringing officers to rescue me, and then there was the poisoning incident. Because I mistakenly ate the poisoned pork knuckle, all the toxic fruits were removed, but they said a stray dog greedily ate some and dropped dead on the spot. I can hardly imagine. If it were Su Qinghe who was kidnapped, if it were Su Qinghe who ate the poisonous fruit, whether she would truly be in danger of losing her life, and during the Winter Festival ice games. If someone had been reckless, Li Yuan might not have survived that night. The system clearly didn't expect that someone who was once a fool would now have thoughts as deep as this. He smiled somewhat awkwardly. "I was just thinking that adversity reveals true feelings. The greater the hardship, the more genuine the bond. To risk my life for the sake of love and romance. Sorry, but I can't agree with that." The system didn't care whether I agreed or not. It grabbed my arm and commanded, "No matter what, your supporting female character mission isn't finished yet. You have to continue." How ridiculous. My Bai family is wealthy and prosperous, with no worries about food or drink. I truly can't think of any reason to be controlled by the system. I spread my hands in a gesture of indifference, only to hear the system chuckle darkly. "Fine, there's more than one supporting female character anyway. If you don't want to harm him, plenty of others will. They won't hold back like you do." How ridiculous. As a young lady, I can adapt to any situation. What's the harm in playing the villain again? I grabbed his sleeve tightly. What do you want me to do? The system showed a hint of satisfaction, as if pleased with a promising student. After letting me stew in my anxiety for a while, it finally said, in 3 days, Li Yuan will be visiting Yunju incognito. Go find him. Li Yuan's painted boat was moored by the edge of Yunza Lake. Mist rose along the long embankment, and the short grass was tall enough to hide a horse. Li Yuan wore a robe of ivory white, a jade belt fastened at his waist, as elegant and handsome as ever. Su Qinghe followed behind him, her small yellow jacket so radiant it was almost blinding. This time, there was no script, and the system didn't tell me what to do. I figured I had to get back to Li Yuan's side first, but seeing the two of them walking side by side in the spring breeze, I felt just as timid and insignificant as before. Too cowardly to take a single step closer, so I waited until nightfall. As the moon rose above the willow branches, I sneaked onto the boat, but there was no one in the cabin, only an empty wine glass on the table. Strange, I clearly saw the two of them return. Just as I was puzzled, a strange sound came from behind the screen. It was Li Yuan's familiar voice. I immediately blushed upon hearing that. What is improper should not be seen. I thought I should leave, but I couldn't resist my curiosity and peeked over the screen. That one glance left me stunned in place. The person lying naked on top was so pale they seemed to glow, just like Su Qinghe. Although I had anticipated it countless times in my mind, the impact of seeing it with my own eyes was far greater than I had imagined. I heard something inside me shatter into pieces as it hit the ground. Li Yuan heard the noise and lifted his head. His face was flushed a deep purple, his eyes moist and brimming with desire. Nyan Nyan. What else? His mouth opened and closed to say. I had already covered my eyes and fled as if escaping, slamming the door shut with a bang. The whole world was roaring. I huddled awkwardly in the corner, trembling all over. I feel like I should cover my ears, but then I think I should cover my face, or my mouth, to muffle my crying. Sister, a sweet, delicate voice called from afar. It was Su Qinghe arriving. I wiped away my tears. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Su Qinghe. Why is she outside? She shouldn't be. My first reaction was, it's over. Li Yuan is finished. Not only is his brain not working, but his eyes are failing too. He even mistook his own wife. But the next moment, I remembered the look in Li Yuan's eyes just now. No, 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 no. He seemed to be in pain. He wasn't admitting a mistake. It seemed like he had been drugged. Damn it, which bastard dared to drug my man? Fury surged from the depths of my heart. I spun around, executed a sweeping kick, and kicked the door open with style. At the same time, I also kicked myself into the river. I have no idea how I managed to pull off such a high difficulty move. By the time I realized what was happening, I was already on my way into the river. I only had time to shout Li Yuan before gulping down a mouthful of river water. I can't swim. Unsurprisingly, the original owner by Nyan Nyan couldn't either. Oh my god, I'm almost laughing at how angry I am with myself. What should I do now? Maybe I should just give up and stop trying. I heard that when drowning, giving up struggling makes you sink slower. I spread my hands and tilted my head back, like a bloated seaweed, being submerged by the river without any grace. All around was silent, the river water gently and slowly seeping into my mouth and nose. Really, sometimes, trying hard is like asking for death, while slacking off is like barely surviving. At the brink of death, I had an epiphany. I silently recited Amitabha Buddha in my heart. If I couldn't be elegant, at least I could depart peacefully. Except there was a slight mishap in between. Li Yuan actually jumped into the water to save me. I was truly surprised to see him. I never expected him to be so fast. Thinking this, I couldn't help but glance at that area of his. As the saying goes, no one would die if they didn't court death. The sight shocked me so much that I gasped, took a big gulp of cold water, kicked my legs, and passed out. Excellent. I think my last shocked expression will surely make every mourner curious about what I experienced in my final moments. Full of mystery, full of irony, leaving suspense, giving the audience room for imagination. I'm very satisfied with this ending. If only it could end right here. So when I was woken up by Li Yuan's angry roar, I was really annoyed. I was about to say, please, I beg you, but then I realized he wasn't yelling at me. He wasn't even by my side at all. I lay on the bed draped with curtains, covered by a white sheet that veiled my face completely. I'm not dead yet. Damn it. Can't people here have a bit of medical knowledge? I lifted the white cloth and sat up. Li Yuan's furious voice came from the next room. What do you mean there's no way to save her? I don't care. Even if you have to tear the heavens apart today, you must bring her back to me. I frowned. The person speaking with Li Yuan was so frightened that he hesitated for a long time before finally speaking. But the moment I spoke, a shiver ran through my entire body. Could it be that I rushed out the door and pushed open the one next door, only to see Li Yuan come into view. Following closely behind him was Imperial Physician's son, Li Yuan. I shouted at Li Yuan, but my gaze fell upon Imperial Physician's son. The elderly physician bowed his head respectfully, his wrinkled eyelids covering most of his pupils, making it impossible for me to see his eyes clearly. By chance, my gaze drifted downward, and I unexpectedly caught sight of the soft shoes he hadn't had time to hide. Embroidered with golden thread cloud patterns along the edges, it's really him. I had my suspicions when I heard his voice earlier, but I never expected him to actually be the system. I stood frozen in place, my thoughts swirling as memories from the past came flooding back. So it turns out I wasn't foolish or slow-witted, I had simply transmigrated too many times, and my brain had suffered severe damage, gradually causing me to forget things, until just now in the water. I finally remembered the past. At the very beginning of the story, I was a young female physician who, through a series of misunderstandings, ruined my lover's perfect marriage and his grand imperial ambitions. Though I leaped from the beacon tower to atone for my sins, my heart remained tormented and restless. The system found me and said there was a way to make amends if I played the role of a supporting female character for lifetime after lifetime, staying by his side. I could help him win the beauty and reclaim his honor. I agreed. He became a priest, so I played the role of a shrine maiden, and to bring him together with the princess, I leaped into the fiery sea as a sacrifice right before his eyes. He became the third-ranked scholar, so I played the role of a dancing girl, and to bring him together with the princess, I took my own life beside a dry well right before his eyes. He also became a great general, and I played the role of a foreign princess, only to end up hanging from the city wall, pierced by countless arrows, right before his eyes. This cycle repeated life after life, and it wasn't until the last few lifetimes that I began to sense something was wrong. It was on a whim one day that I happened to flip through the history books, only to find that after I left, things did not go as he had wished. He would set the temple ablaze and join me in a fiery grave. He would slaughter everyone in the brothel and take his own life before the dry well where I met my end. He would abandon his armor and weapons, his ashes scattered upon the land where I lay. The system should know all of this. The system should know that we are in love. I don't understand why the system would use my love to hurt him, and I gradually can no longer agree with the idea of sacrificing one's life to fulfill the other's love. In my previous life, I confronted the system and demanded answers, but before I could get any, I was already beheaded. However, perhaps this is already the best answer. Who says supporting characters can be killed at will? Who says supporting characters must sacrifice their lives for the protagonists? If it's this painful and full of suffering, then this trashy script and this trashy protagonist's play are not worth being a part of. I don't know how long it had been, but Li Yuan held me in his embrace, pulling me back to reality. Nyan Nyan, Nyan Nyan, my dear Nyan Nyan. Imperial Physician's son had already withdrawn. My state of mind had completely changed. I swallowed my tears and gently patted his back. As expected, a dagger fell from his waist. Li Yuan, playing with daggers isn't a good habit. I picked up the silver-bladed weapon and stepped closer to Li Yuan, one pace at a time. Let me guess, you weren't planning to take your own life, were you? I could hear the rising inflection in my own voice, using a mocking tone to desperately conceal its trembling. Li Yuan's eyes darkened. Yes, he made no attempt to hide it, his damp eyes so sincere they made me want to cry. If you were gone, I would have to find you. So, in all those past lives, after I died, did he come looking for me like this too? I dare not think, but fortunately, heaven has been kind. You are safe and sound. Li Yuan tightly grasped my hand. The young man, who had always been stubborn and cared too much about his pride, no longer bothered with face-saving after this incident. It was as if he wished he could tear out his own heart just to show it to me. Nyan Nyan, I came to Yunju this time just to find you. I didn't come to see you the other day because I wanted to make you anxious, but now I don't dare anymore. I just want to tell you how I feel as quickly as possible. I know you don't like the palace. And you don't want to live on the edge like in the script, treading on thin ice. Then let's not go back. I won't be the crown prince, and you won't have to be the crown princess. Just be Li Yuan's wife. Alright, this past year, I've mostly settled matters in the capital. Since you like Yunju, we'll stay in Yunju. Look, you just water the flowers in the yard every day, drink some wine, read storybooks, and quarrel with me. How about it? Nyan nyan. I wanted to turn my head to look at him, but this usually flamboyant person was now completely buried in my back, clinging to me like a child refusing to let go. I truly never expected that Li Yuan could be so clingy. For a moment, I wanted to laugh at him, yet I also felt a pang of sadness. Nyan nyan, just think about it, okay? He was so soft, almost pleading, that I couldn't utter a single word. He wanted to give up the throne and be an ordinary couple with me. How could that not be good? It was so good it made me cry, but, what a pity, it was just one step too late. Now, compared to staying together in Yunju, I have more important things to do. Li Yuan, I interrupted him. Yesterday, I didn't fall into the river by myself. I'm not that stupid. When I first woke up, there was a sharp pain in my shoulder, covered with a large bruise, clearly from being hit by someone. I was wondering how I managed to pull off such a difficult move. Turns out I was pushed into the water. It's not the queen, I continued. The queen isn't evil enough to want me dead. It's probably that trash system. It won't allow a supporting female character like me to save the male lead. There are too many people who want me dead. I simply can't win against them all. The system has gone mad, and I can't just sit back and wait for death. I need to solve the problem at its root. Li Yuan, I must leave. This time, my tone was resolute. Li Yuan seemed to have no expectations left. His expression cold, only his eyes trembling slightly. Running away again. This time, it's not running away, it's to save you, you fool. But I couldn't say it. I didn't want to drag him into this. Seeing that I remained silent for a long time, Li Yuan took it as my tacit agreement. He lowered his back, curling his lips in self-mockery. Alright, Miss Bai, you trespassed onto my painting boat late at night, and I won't hold it against you. What? Do you expect me to escort you off the boat now? I was taken aback for a moment, then immediately understood his meaning. He and I had long since become strangers. Then I'm off. I patted his shoulder, feigning nonchalance. Wait a moment. The crown prince, who had insisted he wouldn't see me off, couldn't maintain his composure. He chased after me to the bow of the ship, crossed his arms, and looked at me disdainfully, saying, to prevent Miss Bai from spreading unfounded rumors everywhere after leaving this ship. I've thought it over and decided I must clarify something with you. Last night, he turned his flushed face away. I took care of it myself last night. I didn't let anyone down. He spoke quickly, yet his words instantly brought back the absurdity of that day. That's enough, bro. Let's talk about something else before we part ways. I really don't want to recall what I saw in the water anymore. My face was ashen as I nodded and walked down from the boat. Li Yuan's expression wasn't much better, likely regretting his careless words. Anxiously, he chased after me down to the shore. Bai, Nyan, Nyan, came the voice, as domineering as ever. But the moment I turned around, he suddenly seemed at a loss. Will we meet again? I hesitated. Probably. If I can survive to destroy the system, I will run to see you. Not long after I walked out, I met Su Qinghe, who was wearing a white velvet flower in her hair, her eyes red and swollen. Li Heng was following behind her. Sis, you're alive. Su Qinghe dashed towards me with open arms. I had no time to exchange pleasantries with the two of them. With a hurried nod, I brushed past them and continued on my way. The trash system hadn't been gone for long. I needed to catch up to it, jogging along the embankment. I finally reached the main road. Looking around, as expected, I soon spotted Dr. Sun's figure in front of a pharmacy at the street corner. Standing before him was the girl who closely resembled Su Qinghe, likely the one who had drugged Li Yuan that day. Dr. Sun took out a bag of silver coins and sent the
unexpected silence only fueled the rising anger behind it. The silver-armored villains surrounded us. Li Yuan, with one hand guiding the horse and the other fighting, left piles of corpses wherever the horse's hooves trod. In the blink of an eye, another blade rose and fell. The cold steel sending droplets of blood flying, splashing the view in a vivid crimson. "Are you afraid?" Li Yuan covered my eyes with one hand. "I'm not afraid." I shook my head. In such a brutal scene, what I saw was the red tassel on the knife hilt swaying before my eyes, and countless rays of twilight tearing apart in the distance. Li Yuan brandished his blade with a battle cry. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I could picture his expression, his movements. I knew that through life after life, we had long since become one. "I believe in you," I whispered, turning my head slightly. I saw his eyes flicker with a barely perceptible pause, then his throat bobbed as he fluidly raised his wrist and brought the blade down, cutting down the enemy from horseback. "Sit still." "Oh, so handsome." On the city gate, after several waves of arrow rain poured down, Li Yuan's Black Feather Imperial Guard also followed him into the city. Quickly fighting their way to the front lines, even though the villains had greater numbers, they were no match for the Black Feather Imperial Guard, each of whom could take on 100. Li Yuan soon broke through the encirclement and led the Imperial Guard in a charge forward. The steeds galloped, kicking up clouds of dust. The chilly spring breeze swept towards me, while Li Yuan's warm chest pressed against my back, watching the villain being thoroughly beaten. I gradually felt my heart surge with excitement, pounding fiercely in my chest. The villain never expected Li Yuan to lead troops to Yunju, nor did he anticipate such a resolute move as shooting Su Qinghe without hesitation, completely immune to threats. Unsurprisingly, he was utterly defeated and gradually forced back to the carriages. Inside the carriage, Imperial Physician Sun remained seated calmly. This rebellion was likely instigated by him, but to him, victory or defeat mattered not. What he sought was to add another layer of hardship to the protagonist's journey. At this moment, seeing Li Yuan leading his troops to kill nearby, he felt the time was ripe and emerged from the carriage, his men conspicuously restraining a young woman. "Halt, Crown Prince, or else, she dies right here." He held the knife against the girl's neck, beneath the blade. A delicate, luminous face tilted upward, so pale it seemed to glow. It was unmistakably Su Qinghe's likeness. My heart sank with a thud. At the same time, Li Yuan reined in his horse and lowered his spear, calling a halt to the chaos. "Li Yuan, that really is Su Qinghe. She is not the fake one, she is the real one." The moment I woke up in the carriage earlier, I had a strong intuition that Su Qinghe had been replaced. That kind of dazzling, brilliant aura is something only the protagonist could possess, not just anyone. Later, when Imperial Physician Sun mentioned tying up Su Qinghe, she exchanged a glance with me, which directly confirmed my suspicion. So, when I stood before the two armies, I subtly pointed toward the fake Qinghe who had been mistaken for the real one beside me. Li Yuan understood my signal and shot an arrow, catching everyone off guard and buying enough time for him to rush out of the city gates and rescue me. However, such a resolute action, even if Physician Sun's eyesight was failing, made him realize the truth the moment Li Yuan shot the arrow. I just never expected that he would repeatedly stage the tragic drama of choosing between the kingdom and the beauty, even dragging the female lead out to elevate the male lead's affection. How utterly unoriginal. Though I was inwardly grumbling like this, I couldn't help but feel worried. After all, that was a real fight with real swords. Su Qinghe, a delicate and pampered young lady, couldn't gain any advantage. Seeing my anxiety, Li Yuan let out a light laugh. He clearly understood the stakes, yet he seemed completely unfazed. He even gently wrapped his arms around me and fiercely bit my ear. "Didn't you say you'd trust me? Getting worried already?" "No. Bro, why are you still talking tough at a time like this?" I turned to glare at him, and he just curled his lips into a smile, leisurely lifting his chin with a carefree air. Following his gaze, I turned and saw a soldier in silver armor dart out from behind Imperial Physician Sun. In the blink of an eye, a sword had already plunged into Physician Sun's chest. Physician Sun looked down at the blood-stained blade, let out a choked sob before he could make a sound, and then collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud. Following this, a large number of silver-armored soldiers turned against their leaders. Soon, the rebel general was tightly bound and taken away for interrogation. Amid the blood-soaked mud, only Imperial Physician Sun remained, lying there with eyes wide in silent fury. I gazed upon the chaotic battlefield, my emotions churning for a long time. I never expected the system that has tormented us for generations to end in this way. I wonder if he had foreseen his own day when he said, "Know the will of heaven above, and understand the lives of the people below." Compared to my sighs and lamentations, Li Yuan was much calmer. With an unchanged expression, he helped me down from the horse and fastened the cloak around my neck. I immediately sensed something was wrong. You had today all planned out, didn't you? Ha, what's the use of planning? Li Yuan's face flushed with anger, his words seething with resentment. I endured the excruciating pain of separation. And then endured the agony of missing her without seeing or seeking her out for 2 whole years. 2 years. I thought keeping her out of it would protect her, but someone just had to. He shot me a fierce glare, his eyes growing even colder, eagerly throwing herself in front of Imperial Physician's son, and not even saying a word to me about it. I was just afraid of the what-ifs. The other day when you wanted to part ways with me, you didn't say it like this. Li Yuan's voice cracked with a roar, like a young man who had suffered endless grievances, his eyes reddening all over. He truly thought I was afraid of death and didn't love him. He truly believed that leaving him was for my own good, but deep down, he couldn't help but cautiously hope for our reunion. Seeing the shimmering tears on his long lashes, I instantly felt like the worst person alive. I'm sorry, I was wrong, but if I hadn't accidentally exposed Imperial Physician's son, would you have known his ill intentions? And just now, when I hinted at the fake Qinghe, didn't I help you a great deal? I smiled, trying to comfort him. Li Yuan snorted, lifted his head, and roughly rubbed the corner of his eye. I went to hug his arm again and shook it. Good Li Yuan, I was wrong, okay. Your Highness the Crown Prince. This common girl admits her mistake. I chased after him, trying to please and act cute, when a laughing voice interrupted us. Sister-in-law. It was Li Heng walking through the battlefield toward me, clad in silver armor. He held a blood-stained long sword wrapped in a silver silk scarf, as if it were not a weapon of death but rather a pen or a spear. I was somewhat surprised. Was it you who just assassinated Imperial Physician's son? It was hard to imagine that such an elegant gentleman could also wreak havoc on the battlefield. Li Heng's gaze was warm as he joked. You recognized the Crown Princess consort but didn't recognize me. I've been heroic for nothing. How could it be? I patted his shoulder guard to hide my embarrassment. Such a tall, handsome young man standing there, who else could it be? It could only be my best, smartest. Before I could finish my sentence, Nyan, good grief. Someone's anger was practically off the charts as they rushed over and yanked me behind them in one swift motion. Li Heng looked at us with a teasing expression for a long while, then clicked his tongue and sighed as he headed toward the city gate to fetch his horse. Let's go. I need to return and help my elder brother apologize to mother. I watched him walk away, then turned to tease Li Yuan. With you leaving the capital, how much blame will he have to bear from mother on your behalf? What's wrong with me praising him a little? Li Yuan let go of my hand and strode into the city. Do as you please, Miss Bai. It seems I can't control you anyway. TSK, that's so sour. But then again, one moment I was comforting her, and the next I was praising someone else. Anyone would find that hard to take. I pursed my lips and quickened my pace to catch up, only to see Su Qinghe wiping her tears as she ran toward me. She didn't even glance at Li Yuan and came straight over to cling to my arm. You recognized me just now, didn't you, sister? Seeing me nod, she wiped away her tears and smiled like a little kitten. Am I amazing, sister? Luckily, after we parted on the embankment that day, I chased after you, and by sheer coincidence, I saw Imperial Physician's son forcing you into the carriage. How clever am I? There was a girl standing by the carriage who looked just like me. What a perfect opportunity, right? Su Qinghe said, glancing over at Li Yuan. This guy was just fiercely saying he wouldn't care about me, but now he's dawdling at the street corner, clearly waiting for me to chase after him. Su Qinghe blinked at me. Actually, I originally wanted to go back and tell Li Yuan too, who wouldn't want to see a hero save a beauty, but Li Heng followed me and told me to protect you first, not letting me tell Li Yuan, saying that Li Yuan's feelings for you would ruin important matters. I don't understand the rest, but I think Li Heng is right about this. When it comes to Li Yuan's love for you, forget about imperial power and wealth. I'm afraid he wouldn't even care about heaven, earth, gods, or ghosts. She gestured with her chin toward the street corner, then leaned in closer with a sly smile. He might be fierce, but you probably know deep down that he only bothers with you. The way he fiercely protects you with his life is actually quite handsome, isn't it? Handsome. I straightened up and looked toward the end of the street. He was already a bit impatient, yet couldn't bring himself to be angry with me, so he had no choice but to turn back and walk toward me again. Watching his awkward demeanor, I suddenly recalled a distant memory. It was back when I had schemed to get kidnapped by bandits and ended up in their hands. He came to the mountain stronghold to rescue me. Just like today, he was clearly furious with my mischief, determined to leave me in the stronghold to find my own way back. But he hadn't even been gone for the time it takes half an incense stick to burn before he came slinking back, scooping me up and placing me on his horse. I know I'm in the wrong and dare not speak, but seeing his bleeding arm, I still couldn't help but cautiously ask, "Does it hurt?" He kept a dark face and said nothing, holding it in all the way, until just before we returned to the estate, he finally managed to utter, "My heart aches." I've always known, deep down, that he was never truly angry with me, nor was he ever holding a grudge against me. He was angry with himself for not protecting me well enough. He feels sorry for me, and I, in turn, feel just as sorry for him. In a daze, Li Yuan had already approached. Su Qinghe, sensing the situation was turning unfavorable, had long since slipped away. The previously filthy and chaotic battlefield, now enveloped by the descending night, felt unexpectedly pleasant in the evening breeze. As if it were a spring night. "Aren't you leaving yet?" Li Yuan lowered his head to look at me, unaware that his feigned annoyance had long since melted away in the spring night breeze. Leaving only tenderness in his eyes, I raised the corners of my mouth. "Go where?" "Home." I nodded and gestured in the opposite direction. "My home is in the suburbs, that way." Yet she didn't take a single step before turning back to glare at me. "Miss Bai, do you know that Yunju is my fiefdom?" "I really didn't know that." "Do you know that every month, every day, every moment, someone reports to me about Yunju?" "I really don't know about this. If I had known, I wouldn't have pawned the ancestral jade bracelet he gave me to buy wine." Seeing me shake my head obediently, Li Yun's expression gradually softened as he leaned closer to me inch by inch. "Then do you know that every year, every month, every day, there are always concerned citizens and ministers writing to me, saying that Yunju lacks a mistress? Who, which scoundrel is trying to harm me?" Li Yun rubbed his nose against mine, then straightened up with satisfaction. "Anyway, I've made myself clear. You should go home. I'll head back to the residence and pick a mistress from among those memorials." As he spoke, he walked forward, but his steps were slow, and one hand deliberately or unintentionally reached out from under his cloak. "All right, I shouldn't be too arrogant. When given a way out, I should take it. After all, I am the peerless supporting female character adored by all, with flowers blooming in my presence, unparalleled throughout the ages." I caught up in 2 steps, grabbing his warm hand firmly in mine. Let's go home." The spring breeze swept his dark cloak toward me. In his eyes, I saw distant mountains and the bright moon, the glow of countless homes, and a warmth more intoxicating than the spring breeze itself. From now on, there is no script, no distinction between lead or supporting roles. The world is vast, and I will wander freely, hand in hand with him. Li Yuan smiled warmly, pulling me closer. "Back to where?" "Back to the Crown Prince's residence, of course. And after we return to the Crown Prince's residence, then I'll naturally become the lady of the house, and after becoming the mistress, then naturally, I'll stay by your side, dealing with daily chores, raising children." It took me a moment to snap back to reality, only to see Li Yuan's affectionate gaze as he leaned in to kiss me. Damn it, Li Yuan, he's always pushing his luck. I think he's doing it on purpose.